I think we're live.
Yeah, who the hell knows? All right. So in our Texas,
It's our hot.
it's hot, it's cold, it's windy, it's too damn still, it's too dry, it's too humid. Send money. Here, if you please.
Today it's just plain hot.
It was cold this morning.
You know, the morning it was not hot. King Harvest Imperial Coffees. If you like coffee, and quite honestly, I don't want to know if you don't. Talk to these guys. Be sure when you order coffee, you let them know you heard about it from us. So they'll send us more. Smartass t-shirts. tinyurl.com. Among the least tees. Friend of ours. You've probably met him. If you order a shirt, let them know you heard about it from us.
Well, I guess I'll start out with bad news. I was supposed to have my CAT scan today for my back. And 9:30 this morning, I get a text message from the hospital. It says, "Oh, you have been rescheduled for Friday afternoon now."
Of course.
So I got, oh shit, I can't spell. Cedar.
You can actually
Sorry.
see that?
All right. I'll fix that one next week. It's Cedar.
Cedar. Yeah,
Yeah.
as if y'all didn't already know that.
We have a full house though, because
Oh, yeah.
we've got behind the scenes here. We have Sanford and AJ as well. So
And Jonna.
And
John
Jonna.
hiding in the corner.
well, Jonas usually here. So
It's good we have different screenshots. Is that a good or a bad?
I don't know. If nothing else, I would like to get a rant out of the way.
when do we not start with a rant?
This one is a subject near and dear to my heart.
Monkeys?
Oh no, that's definitely not anywhere near my heart. Because no, I am a retired first responder, both law enforcement and EMS. I've been a soldier. A lot of my friends are soldiers. A lot of my friends are first responders. Suicide is a thing. And if you are dismissive about it, I've got issues. Author Jim Butcher recently came out with a quite honest thing about his battles with depression and his suicide attempt. Man, bless him. That takes a lot of strength. To do. Larry Correa, who's a good fan or a good friend of Jim Butcher, posted a link to his story on the MHI page on Facebook. And some rampaging shit weasel decided to get stupid about a man coming clean about depression and his suicide attempt. As I posted in that thread later, because I didn't see it when Shitweasel was being stupid. Because
Yeah, I gather he wasn't just ban-hammered; he was ban-defenestrated.
Yes,
with a quickness.
If I had time, and I don't, but if I had time, there'd be another 5-book anthology trilogy coming out with this guy as the main character. Because being dismissive about that sort of thing is not a good way to get on my good side. And I think we'll just leave that at that.
Well, now that you took my fucking rant.
Sorry.
Well, I will say that most of the times when you see somebody that disgusting about mental health, it's someone who's trying to hide his own problem.
I don't care. I seriously do not care.
Now, there is also, unfortunately, a school of thought that teaches that depression is not real.
Oh, those fuckers. Yeah.
Yes, and I have.
Pardon my language.
No, I mean this is the thing that I grew up with that, and the fallout, because it affected a very close member of my family who never got treatment because they were convinced that depression was not a real thing. And so it's one of those things that there are people out there like that. They are wrong and they are extremely destructive when they convince other people that they shouldn't seek treatment for their mental health issues.
We lose 22 veterans a day.
That's military veterans. The number of first responders that augur in is right up there.
Well, Harris County lost 4
Yeah.
law enforcement
In a week to suicide.
to suicide. Yeah, 4 of them,
So,
including 1 female.
so, and I'm one of those lucky people. To the best of my knowledge, I've never had suicidal thoughts. I have had brief, what I call melancholy moments, which I'm assuming is very mild depression. So I don't know what it's like, but Jim and I have a friend that goes through it on a regular basis. And don't dick around.
No.
Not on this one.
And if somebody wants to talk to you, for God's sake, talk to him. Talk to him, talk to her.
I'd rather, and I've done it multiple times, taking a call 3 a.m, because that's a lot better than driving 16 hours to attend a funeral.
Yeah. In other news, the so-called, and I say so-called advisedly, the so-called fast decline of President Biden to prostate cancer is pure bullshit. He has had prostate cancer for 4 to 5 years. Now, whether it was diagnosed and untreated,
Which is bullshit.
or missed, in either case is pathetic.
There's 2 possible options, and only 2, because this is the president of the United States, and he gets one. He's a politician. You don't have privacy anymore. The president of the United States gets very, very thorough checkups. So either his physician missed it in case
He's incompetent.
he's incompetent, should be crucified at the reflecting pool, or he did find it and they lied to us. As a gentleman of a certain age, when I hit 50, my doctor didn't ask. Nobody asks you if you want to have the PSA in your blood test. When you hit 50, you get a prostate specific antigen test in your blood test. They don't ask. They just do it. At 54, when my PSA was a little high, I got introduced to Dr. Sausage Fingers.
At least he took the ring off first.
At least he took off the ring. Didn't help much, but this is.
No Super Bowl rings, thank you.
Yeah.
And somewhere along there, that same general area, they start sending a camera up to inside a check.
Yeah.
There's a there after the then they do an ultrasound, and you'd think ultrasound they grab you and they put a sensor. No, they lube up the sensor or the wiffle bat of introspection, and they go spelunking. So
You should not call it a wiffle bat. It's much bigger around than that.
having had the wiffle bat of regretful introspection multiple times, I feel somewhat able to speak on the subject.
Fingers like a kielbasa. Yeah.
No kidding.
It's better than the little girl with the tiny fingers, because then you get the whole hand.
Doc, you trim your nails today?
But and this is what bothers me, is they're now using this as an excuse to say, oh, you can't criticize him. He has cancer.
Yeah, he does. The folks around him don't. The media doesn't. The political establishment that covered for him don't. The legacy media that covered this with a pillow until it stopped moving don't. And I'm sorry, but Dr. Mrs. the President damn sure doesn't.
Yeah.
So
To the tune of whistle while you work. Yeah.
I really hate it when he's up there and goes, oh wait, that's your tonsil.
Yeah. Well, Raptor says, the Jeff Dunham bit with Peanut. Dude, where's your other hand?
I knew I had a very, very clear impression of where his other hand was, somewhere around my tonsils from the wrong end.
Well, we actually did that to a certain lieutenant in our squadron during his flight physical. When Doc got ready to give him his finger wave, the officer that was hiding behind the curtain reached out and put his other hand on his shoulder. And certain young officer might have come out of that.
Thank you.
Might have come out of that exam room in a state of dishabille.
Where should I put my pants? Over there by mine.
Yeah. The other pen was used in his colonoscopy, apparently. Yeah, it was mean, but that son of a bitch deserved it because he was an ass kisser.
Well, the
If nothing else, he deserved it because it was funny.
I'm afraid that the doctor that you line up to take care of the president is not incompetent. So they've known about this, and it's one more in a long list of scams and confidence games run by that administration on the trust of the American public.
Well, I think what they were trying to do was to get him reelected and
Die in office.
live long enough to die in office so that Camel Toe could have 2 years and then effectively 10 more years of Democratic control, which would have destroyed the country.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That may have been the plan. But if Biden were in office right now, because he'd been reelected and died right about now, so that Camel Toe, or no, it'd be another year yet, wouldn't it, before Camel Toe got to die?
Stage 4 metastasized to his bones. I don't know that it's going to be a year.
Well, my ex-father-in-law died of that 6 months ago. So my family has been dealing with this for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And his was because he did not get a diagnosis because he was taking care of his wife, and he didn't go to the doctor for over 3 years.
Yeah, apparently that's the latest. The latest excuse was they didn't do a prostate exam or any sort of prostate test because Biden is elderly and they wanted to save money.
His brother came out with prostate cancer in 2021.
Oh, look, a family history.
Yeah.
Goodness.
That's why I'm saying they knew it.
Well, but I don't think we'd have had to worry about it if they'd managed to do their plan, because by the time Camel Toe had spent a year in office, there would have been no office.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Scott Adams of Delta fame has the same cancer, and he does not think he's going to make it through the summer.
No. And
Greg,
he looks bad.
He chose not to be treated.
Greg Ellifritz, his cancer came back too.
Yeah.
We know several. Greg Ellifritz, Gorilla Fritz, is a wonderful, outstanding trainer, and he's got prostate cancer and he probably has a year to go.
And he chose not to seek treatment.
Yeah, Greg Ellifritz has chosen not to treatment too.
Yeah, Scott will be a real loss. I've actually known him for a number of years.
Of course, it's Jim Curtis. Of course, he's on it.
He
Who does he
was
not know?
part of our Mensa group out in California in the late 80s, about the time he started Dilbert. So we kind of got the inside scoop on how Dilbert got started and what the back story was. And the pointy-haired boss really was his boss at Pactel when he worked for Pactel.
Yeah, Gorilla Fritz had it treated successfully. A new procedure that's cutting edge.
Yeah.
And the doc was sure they got it all, and apparently, surprise.
Yeah, that's what's been going on with my dad is that they did the the state of the art, the cyberknife radiation, because
Yeah.
Dad couldn't tolerate chemo, and they thought they had it all, but then it's metastasized. It's in the bones, and it's back active in his lungs again. And at this point, he has no choice but chemo. So
Yeah.
Yeah, once it starts to spread, it's really hard to track it all down and stomp it all out.
Yeah.
It's like a fungus.
Yeah.
It's sad in any case, regardless who it is.
Yeah.
On the good news front, the post office has finally come out with stamps for the Army, the Marine Corps, and the Navy,
Woohoo!
celebrating
nothing Air Force?
250 years.
No,
Well,
oh, Air
obviously-
Forces.
They all want to
Obviously-
celebrate the real branches of the military.
Ah,
Obviously, it was for the air. It was for the military, not for costume wearers.
I'm assuming the Coast Guard got theirs a couple of years ago.
No, Coast Guard still doesn't have one.
Oh, Coasties screwed again.
Of course, the question is, how far back do the Coasties actually go?
All the way, depending on how you
Define
trace
coastie.
how you
Depends
trace
on
it.
how you trace them back, yes. So they will be replacing the forever stamps. Or at least you will have the option to buy them in place of forever stamps.
I'm just sitting here thinking about coasties are the one branch of the military that most people that have a military background will not make wisecracks about.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll give them shit all day long, but when it comes down to nut cutting time, those guys are studs. They really are.
Yep.
I mean, Coast Guard, the reason the Navy's had pretty children for 250 years. Coast
Yeah,
Guard, you
that's-
have to be over 6 feet tall so you can walk on shore when your boat sinks.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Rick. It's technically it started as the revenue service.
Yeah.
So if you want to figure out when it started as a revenue service,
Yep.
then you get into it's more than 240 years old, but so I'm sure that they will be coming out with a stamp for them.
I remember when I was on Galveston, when a hurricane was coming in, and watching a Navy ship heading in, well, past the Coast Guard heading out.
Well, the Coast Guard has more rescues than any other service.
That's pretty much what they do is
Yeah.
rescues.
Rescues and probably drug busts.
Well,
Performing no-knock raids on submarines underway. Wham, open up.
Wait, isn't no knock
Okay.
raids what you used to do?
actually, the Coast Guard, the reason the Coast Guard does that, they have a law enforcement function.
They're
The Navy
they're federal.
does not.
Yeah, they're federal law enforcement.
So the Navy actually has to carry Coast Guard
To do
Attachments.
to do boardings.
to do boardings.
And I'm here to tell you, when you realize the SEALs went to the Coast Guard to learn how to do VBSS.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
actually, the Marines did. They got trained by the Coasties.
Yeah, because the Coast Guard, with Coast Guards, when SEALs were set up in the 60s, Coast Guard had already been doing vehicle board search and seizure for 40 years.
Yeah. It was always a secondary, tertiary mission. Whereas for the Coasties, it's pretty much
Mhm.
the mission number two, the number one being rescue. And their thing is they have to go out, they don't have to come back.
You have to go out.
Mhm.
Manual says you have to go out. Says nothing about coming back.
And a lot of them have paid that price.
Yeah.
And I had some friends that were in Coast Guard out of Beaufort. And we were out flying one day, doing some, just simple training stuff. And we go tooling up by Beaufort. And look, there's a Coastie H3. Looks like it's awful low. We come back, circle around. They're sitting on the water. The blades are stopped. So we called them on the radio and said, "Hey, you guys okay? You need some help?" "No, we're fine." We came back, made a real low pass, Voice comes over the radio and says, "Stop it! You're scaring the fish." Those fuckers were out there fishing, and we could literally watch the guy cast out of the side door of the helo. Okay.
I remember watching there's a video came up, and it was, is it Bering Sea that's off the coast of Alaska?
Yes.
There's a Coast Guard cutter stuck, and they had to get from one part to the other, and there's a sandbar in the way. So they drove on the sandbar and then let the waves bounce them over, then kept going.
Yeah. Well, the other place that the coast geese are infamous for is the Columbia River, because of the maelstrom at the end of the Columbia River,
Okay.
where it hits the ocean. And that's the one you see a lot of the videos of boats flipping over and everything else.
Right.
And the ghosties charging out through that in a 45-foot boat going, yeah!
That's
I'm crossing. I've done that one.
Oh, yeah.
Columbia into the ocean. It's a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
But this cutter comes in, thunk, 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 thunk.
Yeah. Well, they have their ways,
Okay.
and it works. Now, getting back across and going the other way is not a lot of fun, because then you're trying to fight the water.
I just, wow.
But they also fly long-range patrol aircraft. They fly C-130s.
They also break up ice in the
Yeah.
Arctic and the Antarctic. Well,
They are the only U.S. organization that has an icebreaker.
yeah,
And-
for what's left of it.
Well, Polar Stars should have been retired 20 years ago,
Yeah, it's a bit of a museum hulk.
but it does both the Arctic and the Antarctic. So they have to transit.
Yeah.
So rather than go in for maintenance, once they finish with the Arctic season, they come back into port long enough to basically take a break for the crew,
Swap paint.
swap paint, fix the major shit that broke, reprovision, and then go south to Antarctica to do it all over again. And then limp back home, fix it, and then do the Arctic. So,
You know, they should buy them another boat so they could just leave one in dock and take the other one
They're
out.
supposed to have four. They're
yeah, it's supposed to have
they're
four.
building for four
Yeah.
icebreakers. One large one and I believe three mediums.
Yeah.
And well, Coast Guard's not real high up on the importance list.
Until shit breaks.
Jesse asked, "Can we even build new icebreakers?" Yes, we can.
Yeah.
They've had some in the budget for. I said there's three new ones in the budget, but that budget line item keeps getting borrowed for other stuff.
Well, the problem is they don't have a high visibility general or admiral.
Yeah.
I did, but she was a bimbo. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Well, but I'm saying the Air Force has 4 or 5 generals, a couple of fighter mafia, a couple of bomber mafia types that keep getting stuff for the Air Force. The Army has some generals.
Yeah.
Some of them armored, some of them infantry, keeps getting stuff. The Army. But there's nobody fighting for the Coast Guard that anybody's ever heard of, because to civilians, coasties are not really military.
Yep.
Well, and when you look at it, they actually do not come under DOD. They are actually a civilian component.
The Department of Homeland Security these days.
They are now under Department of Homeland Security. They were under Treasury.
Transportation.
Transportation.
No, they were under Treasury originally.
Yeah, but they moved to
They
transportation.
moved to
instead.
DOT.
Yep.
But they
The,
were, that was when they were still quote unquote revenue. They were under Treasury.
And only during declared war do they get subbed to DOD under the Navy.
Yeah.
And we haven't had one of those since the 40s.
I
So
thought
their budget has never been fully recognized, because everybody tends to take that piece of the pie that went to the Coast Guard and go, oh, I can use this over here. And because Coast Guard was a subset of both Treasury and DOT, they did not have enough power to go, no, you can't have any of our money.
I thought the Desert Storm was actually a declared war.
Nope.
I remember
Police
this.
action.
Peacekeeping mission.
I seem to remember this thing coming out where they with
Con-
the Congress to make it a declared war because they didn't want to have another Vietnam.
Nope. Congress did not. To the best of my knowledge, Congress did not declare it.
Yeah, Bill. Bill says Marine Corps is under DOD and still gets a lot of crap budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Marine Corps is part of the Navy, and it's the least respected part of the Navy.
Now, the real problem is, as we kind of talked about on Tuesday, the Air Force has people that do nothing but make presentations. And they do a very good job at it. Right now, the new Chief of Staff of the Air Force is saying the Air Force needs to upgrade. Oh, and we'll need a little money from the other services to make that happen. And the odds are that they will probably get the damn money.
Okay, there's no near peer air power out there.
China might be, but I don't know.
Certainly in numbers, not quite so sure on capability.
Yeah, capability is always the big, and they're never as capable as they say they are. Russia damn sure isn't.
Yeah.
And China's the same way. They're never as capable. Stop believing the propaganda.
Yeah.
They're never as capable as they say they are. They're not. Unless they've stolen the tech from us, and then they're only a generation behind, rather than 2 generations behind for everything else.
The Chinese steal directly.
Oh yeah.
So they have Gen 5 fighters. What they do not have is all of the little bits and pieces that go into them.
Do not get me started on the CIA. Really don't get me started on the CIA. Those bastards.
Yeah, anyway.
I always thought they ought to change that middle initial to Y.
Oh, Ted, sorry you're not feeling well. Hopefully it gets better. Yes, China's flying knockoffs of Soviet and Russian aircraft, and they're actually flying knockoffs of U.S. aircraft. They stole the plans for the F-16. They stole the plans for the F-18.
I heard rumors that their new J what the hell ever is F-35 they bolted an extra engine on.
Pretty much.
Well, you know, they didn't have to steal that. That was probably given to them during the last couple of administrations.
Who knows? Who knows?
Well, I do know that the Marine colonel that was in charge of the F-35 engine program got fired because he told Congress they did not need a backup engine for him. And the senators were not happy with him, so they got his ass fired. So he retired out of the Marine Corps as a bull colonel, would have been one of their generals shortly, and went to teach school.
No, the near peer is about the only. Everybody's worried about China, and don't get me wrong, China is a lot like Russia. They will pile bodies on a bonfire until it goes out.
Yep.
Not most efficient way of doing it. Near peer in the fact in mass and human wave assaults in mass. Yeah, near peer. Near peer.
Well, they're also near peer in ships and in submarines that they have capability to get to sea, which right now we cannot match. And they have the weapons. We are in war reserve on most of our weapons in the U.S. inventory. And there is not enough manufacturing capability in the U.S. right now to refill the war reserves in light of what is currently going on.
Did Singer close?
Yeah. They are so far behind in 4 programs I can think of off the top of my head. I'm not going to get into them here, but there are at least 4 programs that we're expending weapons faster than they can be replaced. And they were already into the war reserve before the latest kerfuffle started.
And remembering, as far as Ukraine goes, that we've been sending them weapons that are about to be deadlined anyway.
Yeah.
The weapons that we have, Stingers have a shelf life.
Yep.
Once they're built, that shelf life. And once they hit that shelf life, we take them down and we destroy them,
Mhm.
or ship them to Ukraine and let them destroy them. Ukraine is that's a shell game on depleting our reserves.
Yeah.
The plain simple fact, like I said, everything from chem lights to artillery shells to javelin missiles to everything has a shelf life, and the U.S. destroys stuff once the shelf life has been reached. We've just been sending it to Ukraine for them to do it. Our
Everything
issue is
except Mark 82s.
Yeah.
We're
The-
still dropping Mark 82s from Vietnam.
Yeah, no kidding. The issue is that we weren't replacing the stuff we were getting rid of anyway. When you haul it off to the burn pit, it has to be replaced. Well, we had Obama and Biden were hauling it off the burn pit, and later on sending it to Ukraine. We weren't replacing it.
Yeah.
It was going to go anyway. Might as well kill some Russians with it.
Yeah, Resident One, I can't disagree with you. Biden's secret traitor cabinet long range plan run us out of weapons so we cannot protect Taiwan. Yeah, that's realistic. And that's pretty much what they've managed to do.
The great thing about using weapons about to deadline was one, it was actually cheaper to ship them to Ukraine. It costs to destroy the damn things.
Yeah.
So it's cheaper shipping to Ukraine. We got to see them in action. There's a joke running around.
Which one?
Yeah, there's a video. It's a couple of Ukrainian troopies with javelin, and they're on a cliff over sea somewhere, and there's a Russian landing craft, I think.
Yeah.
And one of them goes, "What the hell?" and fires a javelin at it, hits it. And the joke is that as soon as that video hit YouTube, there was a Raytheon exec retyping the brochure.
Oh, yeah.
Anti-ship capabilities.
Yes. Raytheon is notorious for that.
But we're watching the Russian response, and everybody says that, oh, the Russians are adapting. No, they're not. Russians are incapable of adapting.
Yeah.
If Russians could adapt, they wouldn't be using the same tactics that they were using in World War II and in Afghanistan. Neither one of which they covered themselves in glory.
Yeah.
They're not adapting.
After there's, you kind of blow off the invasion of Taiwan, but what you're not realizing is 90+% of the chipsets used in the United States are manufactured in Taiwan. If Taiwan gets in the middle of war, they're not going to be making chipsets. So guess what stops in the U.S.? Computers.
Greg's right. Well, sending war material to Ukraine, we could replace it. Yeah. Or the burn pit. Everything we sent to the burn pit was supposed to be replaced.
Yeah.
Nobody, Obama and Biden didn't bother replacing it.
No, they never even let contracts. And the
I'm not-
problem is a lot of these weapons require some pretty precise manufacturing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not something every Joe Blow off the street can do. It's not like packing a Mark 82 bomb full of Pentex or various and sundry items and rolling it down the line.
No.
You've got to have the computer parts. You've got to have the chipsets. You've got to have various and sundry things.
And precision tolerances because
And precision tolerances.
And the like for the javelin, and I think current generation Stingers, don't get me wrong, the sights require a cryo cooling, so there's pressurized
Nitrogen.
freon, nitrogen, whatever. Anything under pressure eventually comes unpressurized.
Yep.
I mean, you can only keep whatever they're using to cool, because you got to cool those thermal sets down to a pretty significant. And if it doesn't, they don't work. So when you charge the cooling, you now have a shelf life.
And I can tell you, having done some of the original testing on the FLIR, if you don't get it cool enough,
It doesn't work.
it does not work.
It just flat doesn't work.
Or you're trying to pick the fly shit out of the pepper because your differentiation is so small. I mean, we used to have to sit there and manually, I want to say calibrate, although that was not the term because there was no calibration, but manually differentiate black hot, white hot against the background to figure out which one would work best for that particular environment you were in that day. And, you know, sometimes the differentiation between background and what you were looking at was so small that you almost couldn't get a differentiation. And this was with a system that was tuned. Now, what happens when you get a system that's been cycled multiple times? You don't have that capability anymore. Yeah, James, you're right. The Ukrainians have been blowing up the latest Russian equipment with 30-year-old NATO equipment.
Mhm.
And some new toys thrown in. Yeah, Rick. Positioning. Precision is positioning exposed mass below the UV light wavelengths. Yes. Mark 82s and Mark 84s are still good. Yeah, they're at this point almost 70-year-old technology.
They're dumb bombs. They don't require much in the way of tech.
No, but you've got to put something on them to make them smart bombs. And that something that you put on them
The bolt-ons.
is also not being replaced.
Yeah, I know.
I have this mental image of a brain being strapped onto a bomb.
That was not quite the bolt-on we were talking about, but
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Everything these days, all of our cutting edge stuff requires chips.
Unless you want to go back to something like the daisy cutter.
Well, their
Fusing was a steel rod.
quantity has a quality all of its own.
Yeah. 15,000-pound bomb that detonated 12 feet above the surface. Yeah, that has a
Quantity is a quality all its own.
Yard.
well, it would make a mushroom cloud out of your entire block.
Well, you know, at least all the lawns would be mowed.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, they'd be mowed down about 3 feet. Jesse,
Cedar's over here drawing. I'm just
good bomb guidance systems are slim pickings these days.
oh
Oh, that's bad.
Jesse,
boo that man! Boo that man!
Really bad.
Boo that man!
uh, oh, y'all ain't right.
More and
Yeah.
more and more every day.
Yeah.
More and more every day.
News.
Yeah. On the writing front,
Amazon sucks mighty rocks off the ocean floor.
No. We're at number 4.
We're number 4.
Yeah, we should have been number 4 3 days ago.
Hey, we were for a while. What was it? Number 17.
We were number 6.
Number 17 in historical
In-
fantasy,
in
which
the-
is a huge
In the
category.
wrong category.
No, that means we got exposed to readers that haven't seen our stuff before.
Exposed.
And the cover on that book is good
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really pleased that we wound up in the wrong category
Yeah.
because we will have had readers viewing the cover that didn't know our stuff before.
Yeah.
So this has the potential to pick up some new readers. This is not about them. Yes, Amazon screwed the pooch, but there are bright sides. There are always bright sides.
Amazon
Well,
had somebody
Part
holding
of
the
our
chicken
problem
this time.
too is Magic Malfunction got kicked out of new releases.
Yeah.
Even though it's still a new release.
Yeah.
So
What?
yeah, because it was a huge spring let's break everything Amazon event.
Yeah.
So
Apparently, they had multiple people holding
well,
the chicken
Kevin
this time.
Eikenberry's book was messed up, HP Hollow's book was messed up, all of CKP had all of their stuff was a disaster.
Can we send an email and ask, hey, could we have 6 months advance warning before you plan on booking
Right.
X
Well,
time?
apparently it's like spring, and then in the fall they try to fix all the stuff they broke in the spring, which happens again.
Yeah, but
So,
last year it was July that there was
Yeah.
a big breaking.
yes, the big breaking. So there was a whole lot of hey KDP, you suck.
Yeah.
So, but we're finally back where we belong. So
And we're getting
and
up there.
Chuck gets really snarky
Huh.
at Amazon. It's kind of cute. So
because they can. Yeah.
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 It's like I would like some advance warning next time, so that we can just schedule that month as a buy month.
Yeah.
And not release anything until Amazon
Speaking of which, what's coming out?
by temper.
We don't have a release from Raconteur Press this week. So this week is a bye week for us where we can breathe. But we do have the last serial section for Wally's Overture
Drops
of Shadow
tomorrow.
drops tomorrow.
Yep.
And then a few days later, the serials will no longer be available for purchase. They will still be on readers for people that have bought them already, but they will no longer be on Amazon for purchase as we gear up to make the full novel available.
Yep.
So if you want the last serial, you've got to grab it within a few days of it dropping
Or
because
wait
you'll
and buy,
miss it.
and buy the novel.
Yes, if you
Yep.
wait and buy the novel, that is perfectly fine by us too.
Overachievers, buy both.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, because you don't get the same illustrations.
You get you'll get special illustrations that were in the serials but not in the novel, and there is some extra information in the novel that was not in the serials.
Yeah.
We try to sweeten the deal for y'all.
And since Tom is on here, I am in the process of beta reading for Tom
His anthology.
on his short story anthology.
Well,
Yep.
it's a collection.
This is.
If it's multiple authors, it's an anthology. If it's one author, it's a collection.
Well, collection then.
So yeah.
I have learned something today. I have learned something today.
My wife's a pedantic.
Yeah.
Yes, I
And-
am.
So far, they're very good. And yes, he does have a new story in it.
Oh, good.
Oh, good.
I
got that
have it
behind
to read, but I have not yet had time to read it.
Well, I finished yours, got back to you, so now I'm on his.
Yes, and thank you very much for that.
Which means I'm not writing, but yeah, what the hell?
I have started reviewing the submissions for Vice Noir.
Good. I will be starting to review the submissions for Goblin Souk here in a couple of hours.
Jim, we don't want you writing until you're back on your meds for 2 or 3 days.
He has a point.
I'm gonna be off my friggin' meds. John David, hopefully I helped you a little bit when I put you in the book promo earlier in the week. I liked your short stories; those were good.
Bam Boncher says Overture Shadows. He's loving it. It's fantastic. Thank you. Tell your friends.
Bam is female. Just
She-
FYI.
yeah,
Oh, I know you can't tell on the internet,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying.
Doesn't matter how feminine the name is. He may be 50 years old with a big pot belly and a beard.
It's the internet. You never know.
Nobody knows you're a fox except for me. Apparently, everybody knows.
Yes, I mean, you have to admit you've done that one to yourself.
Oh yes.
Uh,
Yeah, the Vice Noir. You still have time. I put up. If you're following my Substack on the notes, I put up some fantastic art for Swords and Sorcery, and I really, really want to see what comes in on that one. So does our guest editor.
Bam says 45 years old with a solid German build.
I gotta say, the Sword and Sorcery one, you got all these people said, "Oh, I'm going to do this." I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Read
Yes.
the homework.
Read the
Definitely
homework.
The guest editor that we're working with for Sword and Sorcery has very specific things that he would like to see and
And
not
not
see.
Yeah.
And that is
So
in the homework he did. So
take the time to
I linked that on the same
respect his
post.
effort.
Because some of the folks that turned in for Vice Noir did not read the homework.
Are you looking at me?
No, there was a little jingle at the shop
Oh.
door.
Extra mysterious people in here.
Huh.
Is the rating for the Swords and Sorcery the usual PG-13? It's Raconteur Press. What do you think?
Somebody somewhere asked a question about how violent is too violent for Raconteur Press. And I think that's a good question to be asked and answered. We should probably do it on the Substack as well.
Totality of circumstances.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
really it depends, but also you can write the good old ultra violence without getting into the graphic details. And what we're getting is we're getting a lot of parents asking us if our anthologies can be handed to a teenager.
Yeah.
And we'd like to be able to say yes.
Okay.
So this does not preclude violence, because I think that violence is not necessarily a bad thing in a story, and there's
Yeah.
stories that you absolutely need some.
Yeah.
However, gory details,
What
you can write well enough to not need those.
what you're saying is that it's okay if you destroy an entire world, but don't have the guts hanging off the moon.
So only
The-
3 buckets on a film.
The
board
torture
scale.
porn is out. Don't friggin' do
Yeah,
torture.
we're just gonna. I mean, that's
Um,
none of us
I've
want
done
that. None of us want.
I've done stories with people getting done in with a knife, a quick flashy knife fight, which were fine. Rita bounced the story because it opened with some guy taking side cutter pliers and cutting toes off of kittens.
Yeah.
So that no. I can have a Stasi agent done in with a knife.
Yeah.
I wrote a good scene, not terribly violent, but you got the point. That's okay. The totality of circumstances.
Yeah.
Don't cut the toes off of kittens with side cutter pliers
Sounds like the Stasi agent got the point too.
multiple times.
Well, and Ian's also done tentacle porn in a short story.
I have. Poor Jonna.
That guy,
Not only did I do tentacle porn, I did tentacle porn to an alien.
and that got an expression you don't often
That's
see.
right. PG-13, guys.
It was extremely PG. It was in the Trailer Park Anthology.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That was
Thank you. That was so bizarre. She says the nicest things.
But
That was your
The-
stare at the camera at the animated reference.
But this ties into something else, which is a comment that I had seen on Substack or X or something. And the guy that was talking about books for kids, because it's been a hot buzz topic. He's not someone that's connected to our group. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. But he was saying that he'd been looking through books at a homeschooling convention, and that there were books that were in theory for boys on the table. And when he picked them up and started looking at them, he realized that they were written to be friendly to moms who were buying them, and that they were.
That could go bad. in so
I'm
many
trying to
different
remember
ways.
the word he used, something to the effect of wussified.
Okay,
Um,
that was okay.
so basically he was saying that he thinks that there is a place for violence in children's stories, which is why then I wrote the Mad Genius post recently about the villains that are soundly killed, which is a C.S. Lewis quote, because it's important for children to know that sometimes there are times and places where it is appropriate for there to be a violent reaction to a wrongdoing.
I consider the Narnia books to not only be good boys' adventures, but good children's adventure. All the Narnia stories
I loved those, and they are very good for both girls and boys.
and boys, and there's violence in there. There are people getting done in with swords. So I'm here to tell you, as somebody who has studied the sword, that can be pretty violent.
There are children
And messy.
running around with swords
Yeah.
in
Well,
Narnia.
Tom makes a good point. Moms are the ones with a checkbook.
Yeah.
So an unscrupulous company would market them to the mom, not the boy.
Yes. Yes. Well, but that's also something that we have to think about, because we're not marketing to the children. The children are not the ones buying the books most of the time these days. So we have to market to the parents.
Yeah.
And so this is something that we're going to encounter. We're going to get pushback from an angry mom because how dare you have boys running around on a planet with weapons that they can kill things that might otherwise eat them, because Bambi's.
There's a particular mom that I had to deal with way back in the bad old days. She had her son in a collie class that I was attending, stick fighting, and was all very well with the padded sticks. And she came by one time when we had the training swords out, because we were doing Espada y Daga, which is short sword and a dagger, a spotty dagger. And she lost her poo because she did not want her son learning violence. Right. So she yanked him out of the Kali class and put him in a judo class because it's gentle.
Oh, my aching back.
Same judo class I was in. We did not tell her about hitting people with planets
Oh,
or folding their clothes with them in it.
yeah.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, she
But
came in.
I mean,
she came in.
I have met women like this.
And she saw her boy, and we were actually, he was sparring me.
Yeah.
Getting tuned up, by the way. And we had the training sword and knife, and I had both his and a bind. I was going to work on his, just it sparring, and she lost her poo. What is that? It's Kali. Are those swords? Well, not really, but yeah.
I have seen her mother watching kids football practice.
Yeah.
And middle school kids. And they're pushing the sled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, it's come on, Dig, you damn it. Because you yell to get boys to.
Yeah.
And she jerked her son out of football because she didn't want anybody yelling at her child like that.
Funny thing. And she told me this later on when I showed up to arrest her. She was trying to raise, and I mean this quite literally, a romance cover model. She wanted her son to be trained with stuff like swords, but not actually swords because those are dangerous. And she had him lifting weights and doing all that stuff. And it's funny enough, later on, I had to arrest her, but for domestic violence.
Yep.
Well, that's why she didn't want him to know how to do violence. She didn't want him to be able to defend himself.
Well, hell, look at all the anti-gunners.
Yeah.
They are protected by guns and their own private security. But us prolies out here and
We
flyover
don't
country,
deserve that protection.
we don't deserve it.
Yeah, she was literally, she told me as I was driving her to the station, to the jail,
Yeah.
about her plan. Weren't you in Jared's judo class? Oh yeah, yeah. And she told me he's going to be I want him, all those the romance books. I wanted the hero to raise the hero in the romance books.
Yeah,
He needs to learn to hit people harder.
This is a woman that ain't right in the head, because that is not a goal you generally have for your sons.
No.
Oh, I see you blocking with your face again.
Uh-huh.
Romance. Okay.
I know what she was thinking. She was thinking about Fabio. Which
Probably.
to me indicates psychologically that she had a fixation on her own child, which is
Kind of scary.
deeply wrong.
I'm just thinking romance. Okay. No boy ever wanted to be the guy on the romance cover. Ever.
No.
Might want to be a pirate. Does not want to be the one on the romance cover.
Nope. This kid was 16 or 17.
Doesn't matter the age.
Teach him how to use swords.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if you want to build good musculature, swinging a broadsword will do it for you. And there was, probably still is, a great HEMA academy in Amarillo. Or at least it was when I was there. And there's Kali schools. I think Atienza guys. My favorite school of Kali is the Atienza Kali. I think they've got a school up there.
Differ says, ex-Navy SEAL volunteered to be our youth chaplain. Wish the kids luck.
Actually,
That could be real interesting, yeah. And I bet nobody backtalks you.
Oh, yeah.
not
Well,
more than once.
Once.
Yeah.
Fencing with a foil is hard, yes. I fenced in college.
Yeah.
Fenced foil and saber. Foil, actually, I preferred saber, but foil was more fun.
Yeah.
Epee was stupid.
Yeah.
Epee was basically based on first blood rules, which just pissed me off. Saber and foil was based on killing the other guy.
I just went with shooting.
I did that too.
My,
I always sort of like,
Claymore.
my youngest daughter wanted to learn how to fence. She's always had a thing for swords. We gave her a sword for Christmas when she was like
I
15.
approve this message.
And so I put her in fencing class, and you know what she had to learn? How to hit people.
Yeah.
Because even with, and they started out with épée and tips on the épées, and but even with that, she is just, it was a huge mental thing for her to actually be able to hit her opponent, and that's something that I mean, I don't know about boys, but for a girl, that was a thing she had to learn. And it was
Not that way.
probably really good for her to learn.
Oh, yeah.
I was certainly all in for the expense of fencing and getting her that training.
I cannot wrap my mind around not being able to hit somebody because I was swatting. As soon as I could pick up a stick that might have resembled a sword, somebody got hit.
Well,
Wham!
as kids, we fought amongst ourselves.
if somebody didn't go to the hospital that week, something was wrong.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
Everybody
know
was
that they
sick.
ever sent each other to the hospital, but my kids would hit on each other. It was other people that she had trouble hitting.
Yeah.
Strangers who were innocent, not pestering young or pestering older.
Well, I'm talking about fighting amongst ourselves in our groups.
Mhm.
You know, because you play for Cowboys and Indians, and it got rough.
Yeah.
I grew up in colonial Africa.
Yeah.
What we played at breaks was rugby.
You know, I envy you that. I wish they'd had rugby around when I was young enough to play.
Rugby's a blast.
Rugby was something we'd never even heard of here in the States back then.
Yeah.
And by the time I'd heard of it, I was to the age where, no, it would be a lot of fun, but it would take me 3 weeks to recover.
Yeah.
That's from the opening scrimmage.
Well, I stopped doing rugby when I woke up on a pool room table with having my eyebrow, I can still see the scar, stitched up. And I don't remember 2/3 of that game, but apparently I played a hell of a game. I tried to stop this. I tried to stop this Samoan wing.
Good luck with that.
With your face, evidently.
We're back to quick.
This 300-pound Samoan was a hell of a lot faster than he should have been. I was going to stop him.
Yeah.
And then later, apparently I played a good game for the rest of the time, but I don't remember. I remember sizing up to hit him and the lights going out and then lights coming back on when coach was stitching up my eyebrow on a pool table.
Oh, yes.
Like I said, Samoans, you go back to the Claymore.
That might not be enough.
But it's a starting point.
Slow them down anyway.
Try playing Australian rules football with Australians.
It's not bad.
It is when you're air crew and you got to fly the next day,
Well, you know, that's not my fault.
and the only one that could see out of both eyes to make the takeoff was the 3P.
Central was a championship rugby team for universities. Don't get the sport. When you're a young, angry man, young, angry male, you get I don't know about the ladies, but when you are an 18-year-old or 16-year-old pissed at the world, rugby's a great way to, and you've got a coach that will knock everybody in the head. It's a great way to let off quite a bit of frustration and angst.
Rugby was not an option for me, but lacrosse. Lacrosse was fun.
Ooh, look, I've heard lacrosse is
Well, that's
great.
just beating people with sticks for fun.
Yes. It was a blast.
There are so many things that I had a deprived childhood.
Deprived or depraved?
Yes.
Yes. All of the
I
above.
said deprived.
Lacrosse and field hockey, both of them. They give you sticks and
Yeah.
a hard little ball.
Irish hurley.
Well, my mom would get so mad at me and my sister because she'd come in and find us fencing with her two largest knives from the knife block.
Collie training.
When I always wondered when I was at school why they gave the girls got to play field hockey.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm looking at it and I figured out it was because they couldn't afford to replace the sticks every time after every game.
That was in colonial Africa. The girls got to play field hockey because allegedly, it was more civilized. It was more ladylike.
Yeah.
I've watched a couple of girls' field hockey games.
Yeah.
That's
Well-
organized murder, guys.
It's Catholics. What do you expect?
It's organized murder.
Yeah.
I'd rather play rugby. Thank you.
And on that news, we've wasted another hour of your time, folks. And
Where's the timer? Oh, there it is.
same place it's always been. Thank you very much. I apologize once again for misspelling Cedar.
It's not the first time, and it's
Come on.
undoubtedly not going to be the last
Not-
time.
But
It was much smaller when I tried to write it originally.
you realize that names are like that. It doesn't matter how simple the name is.
Yeah.
If you had someone whose name was C,
Yeah.
just a letter C, someone would misspell it.
No kidding.
I think we've scarred that poor girl that was in here for life.
Oh,
Hopefully, we will not cost you a customer. Remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
be safe.
Be safe and have a good weekend.
It's only Tuesday.
It's only Tuesday.
Oh shit!
You're jumping the gun because you're so ready for Friday.
Yes.
I'm here. It must be Thursday.
Normally,
There
you yes.
Later, guys.
See you, folks. Ah.